There was like a 6-year-old in Chicago who stabbed 62 times by his landlord. Well, did that happen to
Hold on. But that's like saying, that's what somebody says, Black Lives Matter. That's like somebody saying Black Lives Matter and they go, well, white lives matter or this other lives matter.
Since October 7th, Bassem has become one of the most visible pro-Palestinian voices in Western media, especially after his viral appearances with Piers Morgan.
My wife's family, they live in Gaza. So I asked them, I told them, when Israel give you the nice warning, the cute warning, does Hamas force you to stay in your home so you can be bombed and use as human shield? You know what, Hassan here, my wife's cousin, he's a loser, you know. He told me, you know, when I asked him, does that happen? He told me, no. The lying son of a bitch lied to me. I told him, you don't understand. Ben Shapiro and Ron DeSantis keep saying that Israel warned you and Hamas asked you to stay put. So I told you, he's a loser. He never kept a job. He even like failed in all of the interviews to become like a human shield. I would believe.
This guy, bro, I'm sorry. The sarcasm is crazy. The sarcasm is crazy with this guy. For a lot of people, those interviews turned him from Egypt's Jon Stewart into one of the main public figures challenging how Israel, Gaza, and Palestine are discussed on mainstream platforms. That is why his exchange with Akbar Gbaja-Biamila got tense so quickly. Akbar brought up anti-Semitism, and that is not a small concern.
When you start to label people, whenever they voice their opinion, you're racist, you're misogynist, this is like you're basically limiting the conversation. You're just like putting already limits. You're already gauging the conversation. So now the discussion doesn't evolve around how bad Israel is. It's like, oh, how bad are you as an anti-Semite? You know who's really controlling things by how untouchable they are. And people can see that. You know, Norman Finkelstein was like a great Jewish scholar. Mm-hmm. He said this, like, I refuse this narrative that there's rising anti-Semitism. It's not happening. Like, let me ask you a question. Have you heard about a Jewish person losing their job, losing their chance in education, losing their opportunities because they are pro-Israel? No, it didn't happen.
Well, but I have to say, just a couple of weeks ago, several weeks ago now, there are two Jewish guys who were in London and they were stabbed.
It's interesting that you say that because actually if you read it, there was two Jewish guy and a Muslim guy. The three of them are stabbed, but you talk about the two Jewish guy, but not about the third Muslim that they were also stabbed. Okay. It's crazy, right? Yeah. You see the filtering that just happened?
Mm.
Jewish communities in Britain, America, and across the West have dealt with fear, threats, and attacks, especially since the war in Gaza began. In London, recent attacks on Jewish people have added more anxiety, especially with Tommy Robinson's Unite the Kingdom rally coming up this Saturday. Many people will argue that attacks on Jewish communities give the far right more fuel because they can use those incidents to present themselves as defenders of Jews while pushing anti-Muslim politics at the same time. So Akbar's concern is real, but Bassem's point is that the concern is often applied unevenly. He is not saying anti-Semitism doesn't exist. His argument is that accusations of anti-Semitism can be used to shut down criticism of the Israeli government, while attacks on Muslims and Palestinians often get less attention, less sympathy, and less political urgency.
But also, okay, if you want to talk about violence, there was like a friend of mine, his name is Jamal Awartani. He was with two of his colleagues in Brown universities, and they were wearing a keffiyeh, speaking Arabic, and they were shot.
Wow.
Did that happen to the Jew? There was like a 6-year-old in Chicago who stabbed 62 times by his landlord. Well, did that happen to
Hold on. But that's like saying, that's what somebody says, Black Lives Matter. That's like somebody saying Black Lives Matter and they go, well, white lives matter or this other lives matter. I'm just saying, I'm asking, like, that's happening because to dismiss it means like...
I'm not dismissing it.
Okay, so...
I'm not dismissing it. What I'm saying...
Is there any correlation to the rise of anti-Semitism?
What I'm saying is... Okay, I'll ask you the question.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, there's a lot of hate crimes happening to Muslims and Arabs and people losing their jobs because they're pro-Palestinian thing. Nothing happening on the other side the same way, the same magnitude, and yet this is what we all talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm happy to talk about anti-Semitism. But if you see the percentage of the attacks and people losing their jobs and being doxxed and being like losing opportunities in the marketplace because if they have went onto a pro-Palestinian protest, it is not even be compared by the level of injustice happening on the other side. And yet, this other side is what we always talk about. And second of it is when you have a country like Israel always hiding behind Judaism, and in the name of Jewish people doing all of these atrocities, considering that that is true Judaism, while Jewish people are screaming, saying like, it's not in my name. Jewish people for peace. There's a lot of Jewish comedians and our artists. They're actually against that. But the Israel is keep dismissing them, calling them self-hating Jew. And then they're projecting this is the only side of Jewish people that you should see. Eventually, you'll have a rise of anti-Semitism.
Anti-Semitism is real. Jewish people should not be attacked or blamed for the actions of Israel. Anti-Muslim hatred is also real. Palestinians and Muslims should not be dehumanized, ignored, or treated as acceptable collateral damage in public debate.
All of your Congress is being bought or blackmailed or controlled by one foreign country. And it is right in your face. They brag about bribing 98% of Congress. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense that our lawmakers, our representatives are actually paying more attention, being more loyal to a foreign country more than own constituents that voted them in. I mean, first of all, we're not going to pay that much money to control a genocidal country in the Middle East. Our weapons will be kept to defend us, not to defend them. We were not going to be hated around the world as much because a lot of people hate America around the world because it's support to Israel. By the way, it's not like they hate us because of our way of freedom. They don't hate us for our freedom. No, they hate us because you are enabling a bully who's doing horrible atrocities in this region and it reflects bad on the American of reputations of America.
Bassem brings up the early history of Zionism and the fact that different locations were discussed before Palestine became the central focus. His point is that political Zionism was not always presented as a simple biblical destiny story. It had practical, colonial, financial, and ideological dimensions.
Is it true that before the British mandate of Palestine, before there was settled there, that Uganda was considered as a location?
Uganda, Madagascar, Argentina. Uganda, they were offered 80,000 square kilometers to do their home, but they couldn't bring enough funding because Uganda was not biblically appealing. They would have been expanded into Nigeria and into like neighboring country. I'm not sure about what are the borders of Uganda.
Right.
And then they will claim that the Western Africa was promised to them 3,000 years ago. And then they will call Ugandan terrorists.
Yeah. So help me understand, and I think too for the audience out there, when talking about the relocation and saying, hey, we're going, because researching and looking that up, I had never heard that. I didn't learn it in school. I was just kind of looking up in preparation for kind of, this and trying to figure out, I didn't understand why Uganda was considered and where, they ended up getting,
Again, it all started Herzl, who's like the father of modern Zionism. He was trying actually to create like a national home for the Jews.
Okay.
And this was like a secular movement. Like I love secular Zionists like Bill Maher, for example. He goes,
wow, you've gone back and forth with him, right?
That guy does like, I'm an atheist, I don't believe in God, but the Jews should be in Palestine. Why? Because it's mentioned in the Bible. Dude, you don't believe in God. This is the little Zionists are the worst. Yeah. It's like, we don't believe in God, but religion is a myth. But like God gave us the land of Palestine. It's like, come on, choose a side.
The 154 debate worked because Akbar and Bassem were speaking from different fears. Akbar was worried about anti-Semitism being ignored. Bassem was worried about Palestinian and Muslim suffering being buried. The hardest part is that both fears are real.